I feel like I have free will. Even when I'm at work and I'm expected to fry the bacon, and I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it, but I'm a vegan, so frying bacon to me presents a kind of cognitive dissonance in which I'm trying to make a really nice sandwich by frying the bacon real good, whilst at the same time being acutely aware of the burning pig flesh at the end of my spatula. How did it die? Likely gassed alive. Did it have a good life? No, probably spent its entire life indoors surrounded by overfed, chemically filled pigs.
Order 66, enjoy!
This game of mousetrap here represents life, or more specifically, a philosophical concept about life called determinism. And the idea is that you're the ball and you're not really making any decisions. You're simply reacting passively to all these things, feelings and thoughts that are happening to you. Can you predict your next thoughts? Probably not, because like the ball, something will happen, so you'll feel a certain way, so you'll think something and do something, and again in this cycle, on and on, cause and effect. There's almost this illusion of choice there. It's like, oh, I'll have the porridge or will I have the Cocoa Pops? But I never really had a choice because I was always gonna do exactly what I was going to do because of all my past experiences, because of my temperament, because of how I'm feeling in that moment, and yeah, a whole variety of things. And this realization can be either inflating or deflating. On the one hand, now through determinism, you're free to make any stupid mistakes that you were gonna make because you were always gonna do them, so how could you be wrong? And on the other hand, maybe you've got this desire to rationalize your way out of it, or be like, no, that's not true, I do have free will. Or maybe just this deep sadness for this total annihilation, what you thought was the self. You can understand why, well, maybe not really understand why, but you can accept why people are the way they are, why they're irritating, selfish, conceited, and just weird. That doesn't really mean that we should act any differently. I'm reading Klara and the Sun at the moment, and it's a book about AI and sort of artificial intelligence embodying human-like bodies and becoming the best friends of small children, like the ultimate capitalist item that you could have. Buy a best friend. And there's this idea within the book that the AFs, the artificial intelligence, can feel things, and people are quite reluctant to accept that at first, but through the way the AFs function and react, it sort of really seems like they do have feelings and emotions, or at least they put on a very good show of it. And they talk about human beings in terms of data and how theoretically you could program a machine to behave exactly like a person if you could copy all of the algorithms and all of the behaviors and reactions. All of this data could simulate a person, but that's not to say that there would be anything behind that. It's not to say that that machine would ever really feel like it was real. that there was anything there to experience it. There's a lens that we all view reality through. And that's real. And no one can deny that. What the fuck am I talking about? The unobjective reality of these stories that we tell ourselves, the stories we read and we watch, is the way we learn about each other and the way we learn about reality. Because reality is weird without these stories. Sitting on this rock that is hurtling through space around this giant gas ball, and then we lay down at night shrouded in animal skins, more rocks, bits of trees and sand that's been heated up and molded into this oblong that we hold in our hands and in our pockets all the time. But the world isn't just that, it's more than that. There's another level to it. Because saying that free will is an illusion implies that it's fake. And how can anything be fake if we experience it? We don't see infrared, but we don't doubt its existence. The bottom line is, we act like we have it when we're alone, and we act like we have it when we're with others. So even if there is no such thing, then this is still a very elaborate story that makes us feel as if we have it. You have no choice but to have free will. You were determined to have free will. This is all starting to make sense for me. Continuing further down this train of thought, it seems to me that without the feeling of free will, you're malfunctioning. This might be the case of someone suffering with a mental health disorder like OCD. Perhaps a person would find it's impossible to get out of bed or leave their house because of the enormous amount of anxiety they feel when they wake up and they try and leave their door. They feel like it's out of their control. A guy called Erich Fromm, who was one of Sigmund Freud's boys, concluded that the very goal of therapy was to help the patient overcome the force that our actions and our thoughts are controlled by the unconscious. He argued that all of us have the potential to control our own lives, but that many of us are too afraid to do so. And as a result, we give up our freedom and allow our lives to be governed by circumstance, other people, political ideology, or irrational feelings. However, determinism is not inevitable, and the very choice we have to do good or evil Fromm sees as the essence of human freedom. So I think it's important to have serious empathy for people with terrible, difficult lives, or miserable, sad, angry, suffering people, because they have really just been dealt a bad hand. And that's what I can learn from determinism. But what I can learn from sort of more the ideas of free will is that if you're in a position where you feel like you can break the mold a little bit, and you can control the ship of your life, then you should really do it. You should try and be the main character. And every story requires a starting point that is not good enough and an ending point which is slightly better. Without a narrative, life kind of slips into meaningless or boredom or spirals into terror, anxiety, or pain. And it actually doesn't matter if you believe that everything is predetermined or not, because if everything is predetermined, then in a way you are everything. You must be. And if you are everything, then you're making all of this happen. And if you believe in free will, then you're in control too. You can choose to make your life and that of the people around you better or worse. When you really know that you are in control, regardless of your philosophical viewpoint, how are you going to make your next move? How are you going to make tomorrow more beautiful than today?